Alrighty, fellow travelers, welcome back to the Adventures of a Traveling Don and our continued journey here in Bermuda. And we are going to be starting our Parish tour series here now. So the next kind of 6 videos, we'll be exploring the parishes in depth here in Bermuda. There are 9 different parishes. Some of them I'm going to kind of like combine 2 into one video. Others are going to be having its own video by itself, such as the first place here, which will be St. George's Parish. So we're starting the St. George's Parish here on Rocky Hill Park. In the last couple days that I have been here, I've kind of like basically walked down to this park. You get this beautiful view of this part of the bay behind you. Absolutely fantastic. St. George's Parish is also a really kind of cool place because it's not as busy as Pembroke Parish, which has the city of Hamilton. We'll eventually get to that, but it does have its own unique charm. Number one, I love the houses around here because they're all different kinds of colors, like purple, orange, yellow. It's absolutely fantastic, the colors that they use here in Bermuda. And some of them even have like unique functions to them, which is really kind of cool. But the biggest thing is, of course, being out here by the bay. Absolutely fantastic. Okay guys, before we hit St. George's, I just want to go over how to get around Bermuda. There's a lot of different ways, of course, being the bus and the taxi system are the 2 top ones that people use. The taxis can get a little expensive. The buses are actually pretty nice. They actually run every 15 minutes to half an hour on pickups, and they pretty much take you throughout most of the island. There are just certain places that the buses don't necessarily stop to that you have to walk from the stop. However, if you really want to kind of chart your own course, you can rent an electric vehicle like we just did. So the car that we got is called the Tazari. It's a 2-seater, as you can see, and it is an electric vehicle. I think the full charge will take you up to about 70 kilometers total. However, they usually recommend after 50%, about 40 kilometers is gone, to start recharging it, because from 50 to 0%, it seems to go down a lot quicker. But anyway, this is just kind of like the standard setup that you have here. Everything is good. So it's just kind of cool. It's pretty small, doesn't have much of a trunk, but it does have something for you. But yeah, this costs generally it costs close to about $150 a day. We're here during the off season, during February, so there was a little bit of a promo price going on. I think for 5 days with taxes and fees, it was like $550 or something like that. So not too bad when you're here during the off season. 5 full days, we can just explore as much as we want. And I believe she said if you are going to recharge it from 50% to 100% fully, it usually takes about a couple hours to charge. So it's kind of a good thing where you can like get it charged up, and then I guess go have lunch or something like that. So, but anyway, off to St. George. Alright guys, and welcome to St. George's Bermuda here. This is King's Square. This is kind of like the central hub. Of course, you have Town Hall behind me. You have the wharf just to the left of me. And then across from me is Water Street. That's where you'll have a lot of cafes, pubs, shops, things like that. But like I said before, with the homes and the colors, even the buildings here in downtown St. George's, I love all these. I mean, just look at the red on that for the Town Hall. This is really cool. So definitely come into the town hall because they still have it the way that it used to be. I think this was built in like 1782, but it's just kind of really cool. It even has pictures of all the old, I don't know if they're governors or whatnot of Bermuda. They also have one over here, a picture of young Queen Elizabeth and Philip as well. So it's actually kind of cool in here. This is really nice. I love history like this. There's a church we'll be going to that's the oldest church on the island. We'll go to that in just a minute. But just coming in here into the town hall, it's kind of cool. They even have like a model of a ship here that no longer exists, but had actually been around for quite a while. But this is awesome. So from King Square, if you come across the bridge here, this is Ordnance Island. And this is, of course, where the St. George's Marina is. So if you're coming through a ferry, you'll probably stop through here. But this is, of course, where you have this small, beautiful little park that has, number one, great views along the bay here. And then, of course, this is where they have like the Stokes artillery. They used to actually keep this in the King Square. It is now here over on Ordnance Island in the park. So, but it is kind of cool. I think they do reenactments and stuff during like the summer times when there's a lot of tourists here. Right now, of course, we're in the off season, but it's still kind of cool to come here and just check it out. And again, you can't beat the views. You can do what you want with me, but I'll never tell you where the treasure is. I'll never tell you. Oh, how do I actually get out of this now? Oh, okay, there we go. I thought I was stuck in here. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Oh, this is actually rather uncomfortable. Oh my God. I'd rather be in the pillory than like, this is the Stokes? Like, this is hurting my legs after a while. Not to mention your back. This would be terrible. Jeez. Let me get out of this. Oh, God. Come on. So while you're in downtown St. George's, if you're looking for something quick to eat, almost kind of like a, a small snack before, like at breakfast time, coffee, things like that, this little area called Frequency Cafe, it's in this almost like hardest corner. There's actually some like local art shops and whatnot around here. But this cafe, number one, is really cute. It was opened only about 2 years ago in 2021, I believe. And first off, this coffee looks fantastic. Oh, that's good. That is really good. My mom ended up getting a cappuccino here, so we'll give this a try too. Oh, that nice touch of cinnamon on top, really good. And she makes all of her pastries in-house. So, like, we just got a little cookie here. We actually have a couple paninis that are coming in just a second. But we got a cookie here, and this is cranberry walnut oatmeal cookie. So, we'll give this a try. Oh my God. First and foremost, that's soft as heck. And just packed with just the oatmeal. That nice tart cranberry flavor. That is fantastic. All right, guys, the paninis have arrived, so we're gonna go ahead and try this. I got myself salami with provolone cheese and egg. Oh, got a little egg nini. Oh, absolutely fantastic. Mom got the cheesy one. She's a cheesy gal. Technically, I got cheese in mine, so we're both cheesy. It's genetic, you know. But this is fantastic. So throughout Bermuda, you are going to find a lot of gardens and parks, small ones that I highly recommend checking out just for their natural beauty. But one of the most important ones you're gonna wanna come to is Somers Garden. And that is right behind me. Quaint, beautiful, kind of just fun to stroll around. However, historically, it is one of the most important ones because here behind me is the monument to Sir George Somers. And George Somers was an English admiral and knight bachelor who was basically the guy who found Bermuda. So one of the things that you have to realize is Bermuda was never settled before it was colonized by England. You know, you think about all the other islands in the Caribbean and stuff, they still had natives before the colonizations began. Bermuda did not. So this was just a natural island that Sir George Somers found on the way to the New World. So kind of cool, nice marker here, little history, and it's a beautiful garden. So one major spot that you want to come visit when you are here in Bermuda, particularly in St. George's Parish, is St. Peter's Church. And this is the oldest church, not just in Bermuda, but is the oldest church outside the British Isles. So this is an Anglican church. It was built in 1612, and it's absolutely fantastic. I love the inside of it. You do have kind of like a rectory in the back that has like a bunch of silver and, you know, just kind of like a lot of artifacts from like the 1600s. And what's very specific about this church is you see all these church pews where people sit. This one specifically right here, and it is marked with a crown. This is only for the reigning sovereign of England. You know, so originally this would be when Queen Elizabeth would come, now with King Charles, or eventually King William, and going on so forth. If the monarch came to Bermuda, this is where they sat, which is actually kind of cool. So there's a lot of history to this church. There's actually an old cemetery out back, so let's go check that out. So it really goes to show how old this place is when you come back here to the cemetery, and most of these graves, which were probably put here early on, you can't even read. So you have no idea who it is or how old this actually is, because the stone is so weathered. Whatever was chiseled initially in with the writing is gone. There's a few of them that do have some steelies in there that are, you know, does have some writing, so you can tell who it is, but those are from like the 1850s, and it looks like they were added in later on. So I'm not exactly sure how that all works, but most of these you can barely even read anymore, if not at all, which shows you how old both this church and this cemetery are here in St. George, Bermuda. Alrighty guys, or should I say, alrighty ladies, you're gonna love this one. So the place I'm in is called the Perfumery here in Bermuda, and it's been around for almost about 100 years. It used to be over, I believe, near the Crystal Caves. It is now here in St. George's, and it's really kind of cool because the shop in the back, or at the front area, is really nice. I mean, I'm not the biggest perfume or even cologne guy personally. It did hit me when I first walked in. I was like, oh, but the scents are fantastic. They do a great job. There's even one that they picked off of, I think some divers found it off of an old Civil War blockade wreck from South Carolina that sank around here, and they kind of recreated the scents. It was really kind of cool, you know, but that's something where it's like 100 milliliters is almost like 200 bucks. But in this back room here, they do classes. So you can actually book classes, I think, every Saturday from I think at about 11 o'clock. It's like a 90-minute class. And you kind of sit here and they have all these different types of scents. And you can just kind of like put it on one of the little sticks and then connect it to here, one of these little metal contraptions, and then you have like 4 or 5 scents, and you just kind of see if you like that combination, and you can create your own perfume, which I'm like, that's actually kind of cool. And of course they do have a men's selection for perfume or cologne, which I smelled some of them, like the cedar was actually really nice. But it is kind of a cool setup that you can come here and actually take a perfume making class. They also, I believe, on Saturdays do maybe even Fridays, they do also have a high noon kind of like British style tea setup that they do here as well. So those are kind of things that you can do. We're here on a Monday, so they don't have any classes or anything like that, but they allowed me to come back here and just kind of check all this out, because this is kind of really cool. Just like the whole making of the process of making the perfume, like, okay, that's something I would kind of like to do. Like I said, I don't wear it, I don't do it myself, but it is kind of a cool experience to learn how to make perfume in Bermuda. So next point of note here in the St. George's Parish, and probably my personal favorite that I've been to so far in my explorations, is the unfinished church. I'm a big fan of history and architecture, and this is particularly really kind of cool because it is the bones of what was once a church that actually never fully got finished. I think they started it like in 1874, and because of different disputes when it came to money, there was, I think, a break in the congregation, congregation where some of them went to another, basically formed their other church, and they built another church. And of course, like natural disasters that happened around the island, and churches like in Hamilton and other stuff like that, that were more important at the time, they got damaged in storms or in a fire, and money just kept getting reallocated to other places, and this church never fully got finished. There was a point where it had a roof, it had pretty much almost a full covering, like the basics of it were there. It's just they hadn't you know, fleshed it out with all the artwork and stuff. But then they basically kind of gave it up, I think around like the early 1900s, and by 1926 a massive storm kind of like really damaged a lot of it, and ever since then every storm that comes through just kind of wiped it out, and now all you see is kind of the bare bones. I've been to some old cathedrals like in Scotland and France and stuff, where you kind of get to see just kind of like the bones of what's left. I think it's actually really kind of cool. But it is kind of a sad story of a church that actually never got to be, you know? But either way, definitely worth coming here for some photos. Now, before we crack on to the rest of St. George's Parish, including St. David's Island, I wanted to show you guys our Airbnb that we're staying at here in our time here in Bermuda. This is in St. George. This is up on the hill just behind downtown. And we'll start off here in the main kitchen. As you can see, you pretty much have everything that you need when it comes to a full-on kitchen setup for you. And then we'll move on into, you have a separate sort of dining room. As you guys can tell, it's kind of almost got like a 1970s style vibe. I love the little archway here. And this is the living room area. Kind of like those little candles in there all set up. That's actually kind of cool. And once you go out here, so there is, your entrance is through the back door. However, you can have access to the front yard. And that is, of course, here with a nice little set of table and chairs. And a nice little just sort of like lawn garden to hang out, chill out. Been basically coming out here to have our coffee in the morning. So really nice setup. Now let's head on down the hall, and we'll head down here. So this is the hallway. So there are 3 bedrooms. This is the first one, 2 double twin beds, of course. And then next, oh, by the way, this is kind of cool. This is sort of like an old style map of Bermuda, where the old railway trails, those are walking trails now, but those actually used to be railway. It was kind of cool. And then you come in here. This is the bedroom I've been sleeping on. Sorry about the bed, is a little messy, but you pretty much have everything you need, including the work desk, closet. And then we'll come down this area here. This is sort of, I suppose you could call the master bedroom. Let me go ahead and turn the light on for you guys. There we go. And looks great. Bathroom's nice, but it's being used right now. But I can guarantee, very nice bathroom. But like I said, this is our Airbnb. It's about $250 a night right now during the off season, which you might think could be a lot of money, but honestly, for Bermuda, a lot of places we had looked at before that was close to about $350 to $500 a night, depending on where you were at. This is one of the cheaper ones. And if you think of even like hotels are pretty close to about $250 to $500, $600, $700 a night. Bermuda is relatively expensive. So finding a large 3-bedroom place like this for about $250 a night is actually not bad at all. And like I said, you don't even have to go out and eat all that much. You can just go to the grocery store, get your groceries, and cook here. Pretty much do everything that you want here, and then just go out for your activities. But anyway, this is our Airbnb. Now let's crack on and get back out to the island. All right, so as you're heading east and then north along the route, along the coastline out of St. George's, you're going to come across a couple of different batteries and forts. And the first one here is called Gates Fort, or I think it was known as Davers Fort at one point in time. But this is sort of like the eastern boundary battery that would kind of like commands this area of the island and the bay on the east side. and it's just absolutely gorgeous views from here of the ocean. The water is just fantastic here in Bermuda. And even this fort, it's not big, but it does have kind of like this main building here, and then of course a couple of cannons for the battery down there. So yeah, we're gonna go all along the whole coastline here in St. George. So just enjoy that. But man, we picked a great day. So this next set of fortifications that I'm on top of is called the Alexandria Battery. And this is a little bit of a newer one. This was built in 1900, and it actually only saw active service for, I think, about like 20 years. From what the information board told me, they stopped active duty service about 1920 after World War I. So it is kind of fascinating that this was built and really only saw full-time service for maybe about 20 years. But it is still kind of cool. It's a little bit more of a modern style. It's got the large guns posted down below as a showcase. And there's a lot of different areas where you can just kind of climb up on top of the battery and get some fantastic views again of the ocean here around Bermuda. But it's just absolutely amazing. Now welcome to Fort St. Catharines. Okay, so I am now on top of Fort St. Catharines Keep, and this fort is absolutely massive. So you're gonna come in, it's gonna be about $7 for one ticket, and you get to explore the magazine in the cellar, which is really, really kind of cool. And then you come up on the fort, and you have kind of like the whole courtyard, and then you have the keep where I'm up above. Every point that you go, you get amazing views. And this place is really known as sort of like the gateway of Bermuda, because if you're coming from Europe, you're generally going to pass by Fort St. Catharines Point first, or any of the other batteries that we've been to, and that's why these were built as kind of like guardians against the French and the Spanish during the 16, 17, and 1800s. Now, this fort initially starts, I think, back in 1614, but the fort that you now see with the entire battery and everything, well, I think was officially fully done by about the 1880s. So it had about 200 years of construction plus. But it's such a cool fort. The magazine underneath is amazing. There's some great history when it comes to St. George in particular here in Bermuda. What's even kind of cool is they have something called the so-called gunpowder plot, where during the American Revolution, apparently George Washington petitioned Bermudians for help. And whether or not he got it, I think on August 14th of 1775, they sent a ship or two over here, and a few guys came aboard at Tobacco Bay, stole about 100 barrels of gunpowder, and basically brought it back to the United States, or the colonies at the time. So a little bit of revolutionary history here in Bermuda, but this place is epic. All right, so we're going to be heading to St. David's Island soon, but before we do that, as you're starting to head off of St. George's Island, there is this place called Stokes Nature Preserve. It's like literally right off the road. It's very easy to miss and blow by, but it's worth it. It's not very long of a trail, but it's kind of cool because it just delves into the nature. You end up coming up into Bartram's Pond, which is right here, and then you come into like this lush, deep meadow right here. I don't even really know how far you can go into that, but it's just kind of like a cool, small little nature walk just to kind of get you right into the middle, almost like the Bermudian jungle. It just kind of feels like. It's really kind of cool. But yeah, definitely if you're here in St. George's, Stokes Point Nature Preserve is definitely worth a quick stop by. All right, so we have now officially made it over into St. David's Island, and this is called Clearwater Beach. This is actually right across the street from the old airstrip for the Navy base, and this is just amazing. You want to talk about a tranquil beach. My God, and it lives up to its name. That water is crystal clear and blue, just absolutely fantastic. Just so you guys know though, you need my mom's permission to come here because this is her beach. You know, she lived here when she was a child from 1970 to 1973. And this is the beach she would always come down to walk to. So she was like, this is my private beach. I was like, oh, it's not the state of, no, she's like, no, it's my private beach. Isn't that right, Mom? Yeah, see, her private beach. So you need her permission to come here. But anyway, like, yeah, this is, talk about amazing. Okay, I know what I said about Clearwater Beach and how that was probably my favorite place so far. I might have to take that back. This spot, Cooper's Island Nature Reserve, wow, just on the scale of grandeur compared to that beach in Clearwater, this is amazing. I mean, this kind of peninsula has coves and beaches on both sides, all sides of the peninsula. It has, because this is still, again, this used to be the US Navy base. It still has an active NASA site, which is actually kind of cool. That's not open to the public, but the nature reserve is, and everywhere you look, it's beautiful views. I mean, just look at that behind me. You want to talk about, wow. That is fantastic. And it is open 7 days a week to the public. You have to park outside it near Turtle Beach and then just walk. I think it's probably good, almost mile and a half to the furthest point. Apparently, it particularly from about March through May, it's the greatest time to come out and sit out there and maybe potentially spot some whales off that coast. But just these views are absolutely epic. Yeah, if you are in St. David's and St. George's Island, come to St. David's Island, come all the way to Cooper's Island Nature Reserve. This is well worth it. So one of the main reasons why we came to Bermuda that I want to share with you guys real quick is not just for, you know, all the food and, you know, the beautiful beaches, things like that, and just to be able to explore someplace new that I haven't been. It was really because I wanted to kind of get to the roots of my family, particularly my mom. My mom's side, you know, my mom, my grandmother, my grandfather, Grandpa George, he was stationed here. And actually, from what I've seen from pictures and what I've been told, that's the NASA station now. This fence here is about as far as I can go, but I believe his building used to be over on that side of the fence. I think this is the best of my ability to deduce it, but it's kind of cool that some of the history of my family really kind of delves back to this little spot, which is now a nature reserve, which is absolutely gorgeous. But it's just, it is kind of cool. It's a little bit like emotional to an extent, just to kind of see where some of the roots of, not personally myself, but eventually where I would come from. Because this is, my mom always talks about her 3 years as a kid in Bermuda, because she was there from when she was like, I think 8 to 11, which are very informative years for a child where you're growing at that time. And I mean, to grow up in a place like this for a few years, God, I wish I could have done that. It's just a beautiful, beautiful island. And it's kind of cool to have, you know, some kind of familial connection to this particular area. It's just awesome. All right, guys, so we've made it back to St. George's Island, and I wanted to save this point specifically for the sunset, because this is Martello Tower behind me, right near Ferry Point Park, and that is absolutely gorgeous. This is probably the most west end of St. George's Island in particular, so this is probably the best spot for a sunset here, at least on St. George's. I haven't been to the other parishes yet, so I'm not too sure. I'm sure you can get a good sunset at Bermuda anywhere, but this is definitely one that's fantastic. There's not a lot of people here, so it is well worth it to come here for a quiet moment with a beautiful sunset. And they even have like this unfinished bridge over here as well. I really want to know the story behind that, because that's just kind of fascinating. But even still, coming here for the sunset, not a bad way to end a day. Okay, before we finish off, of course, we gotta have one more food item here in the video. And we have come back into town here in St. George's, right near the water where we started. And this is White Horse Pub. It's a bit of a touristy kind of place. However, it is very, very popular for a reason. It's right off the water. It's a really kind of cool bar, and particularly they've got like now a dance floor. So that's something that's kind of cool. So if you ever come here in the future, I think maybe on the weekends they probably do some live music and dancing, or at least some DJ dancing. So, but anyway, I went ahead and got myself the fish and chips. I've been wanting some fish and chips while I'm here in Bermuda, so this is the first time. We're gonna try a little piece of that real quick. That fish is fantastic. Maybe a little crunchy on the breading itself, but the fish itself is fantastic. Also, if you're ever here during February, particularly the first 2 weeks of February, they have something called Restaurant Week, which happens a lot in the United States. What they do is all the different restaurants will have their own kind of set course menu. So like my mom is currently, she's having the set course. I'm having just the fish and chips because that's what I wanted. But she's having like a set course of like a Caesar salad, a chicken, or you can get a shrimp Alfredo. I think salmon was another option. Their fish chowder for an appetizer. So it's a 3-course meal for like 59 bucks that comes with a glass of wine. And then also a dessert. I think right now this year they did either a chocolate cake or cheesecake. So there are options, and particularly there are some benefits to coming here during the off season like February, because that gives you Restaurant Week stuff, which is kind of unique and cool. So, but anyway, White Horse Pub, not too bad. All right, guys, I am gonna be honest. That first particular fish that I tried for you guys, that was the first bite, was really good, at least the fish wise. Like I said, the batter was a little bit too crispy. The other two fish I think were just a little overdone. They're just slightly dry. However, Mom's stuff, everything that she had with those 3 courses, particularly that cheesecake at the end, was really, really good. So everything that was on the Restaurant Week menu, fantastic. I also do recommend, there's another place just down the road here off of Water Street that was called Wahoo. Get the Wahoo dish at Wahoo. Amazing. It's got like a pesto sauce on it, a little bread dish to come with it. It is fantastic. So, but anyway, guys, this is going to be the end of the St. George's Island Parish video. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. I'll get to those as soon as I can. And of course, stay tuned for the next video coming up. I think we're going to do Hamilton and Smith Parish. We're going to do 2 parishes in one, aquarium, bunch of other good stuff. So, but anyway, if you liked the video, give it a big old thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I will see you guys on the next video. Until then, peace out and have a great night.